And this is opening day 2021, our first time into the park. I'm with Jen, one of our new staff, and this is the west entrance. You can see the Yellowstone sign coming up ahead of us, so that car's going to get in the way, unfortunately, but there we go. And how cool is this, you guys? We are in a topless vehicle today. This is one of our tour vehicles. It hasn't been set up for the season yet. But on a nice sunny day, if you do decide to book a tour with us, which you can see at yellowstonetours.net, that's yellowstonetours.net, we can take this vehicle into the park if you like. So the right lane at Yellowstone is normally the park or prepaid lane, so it's normally a lot quicker to get in. Remember that if you're coming here, you see it says there show entrance permit, and we can see how many roads are closed at the start of the season.
Hello. And next time you got your ID.
I didn't know what.
And we're getting into the Madison Valley, and this is where we can see our first buffalo. And there they are, right next to the river. And Jen will pull out in the next little parking lot where you can pull out. We can expect to see buffalo in this part of Yellowstone at this time of the year. This is one of the lower areas in Yellowstone, and the buffalo will be here for the spring. Then they'll migrate to higher up to the Lamar Valley and the Hayden Valley, and then come back here towards the end of the autumn. This is the start of the Madison Valley, and we can see how the Madison River slows down here. It zigs and zags, and as a result of that and all the sediment and debris it's dropping, it's a very fertile valley. In addition, because of all the water, the snow, as you can see, melts a lot more quickly than elsewhere in Yellowstone, so this is why we see the buffalo here. And there's also an elk herd that can be seen in this part of the Madison Valley. And there's a whole lot more buffalo that we see. I don't see any red dogs yet. And for those of you who've seen various of other virtual Yellowstone tours, you'll know that the red dogs are the baby buffalo. And how cool is this? We're in this topless vehicle, so we have such great access to the buffalo. So we don't see any red dogs yet. The red dogs, once again, being the baby buffalo. We can see some of the yearlings there, the ones that were born last year. Okay, just stop with this next pull-out. Okay guys, this isn't a real buffalo jam, but that is a buffalo, and it is holding up cars just a tad. We're approaching Madison Junction and the Grand Loop Road. This here is the Madison campground, and it says full, even though it's empty and hasn't opened for the season. And here at the Grand Loop Road, if we turn left, we'd head towards the upper loop. We come to Norris Geyser Basin, and then carry on towards Mammoth. We are on the lower loop, and if you look at a map that you can see at our motel site, which is ysmotel.com, that's YS, short for Yellowstone, ysmotel.com/map, you can see where we are. This is more or less the southwest corner of the lower loop, and we're continuing on to the main geyser basins. There's 3 main geyser basins in this part of Yellowstone. You can see it says there road closed, and the reason is, with today being opening day, only a small number of roads in Yellowstone have opened today. Just to the, what would it be, east, maybe southeast of Old Faithful is Craig Pass. Craig Pass gets up really high. So that road only opens up much later in the season, not much later, but about a month later. National Park Mountain over there. And we're leaving Madison Junction behind us and continuing on to the various geyser basins. We're crossing over the Nez Perce Creek, and as we come up over this hill, we're going to see the first of the main geyser basins. And with any luck, there's going to be a lot of steam coming off the lower geyser basin. Well, some steam, not that much. It's reasonably chilly at the moment. It's, I would guess, in the upper 30s, lower 40s or so. But it's always nice to see the lower geyser basin for the first time. And where we see all that steam coming off over there, and I keep on forgetting I'm in a topless vehicle, so let me reach over. Over there, that is Clepsydra Geyser, which is almost always erupting. It's one of the special treats you'll enjoy when you get to see the lower geyser basin. And as we climb over this next hill, we're going to see the parking lots for the lower geyser basin. And they're not going to be crowded, but when you come here in the summers, boy, are they going to be crowded. Isn't it cool seeing them for the first time again? Look at all that steam coming off. This is the fountain paint pot area. And those, by the way, are not snags. Those are what we call bobby socks trees. They've been killed by all the sinter in the area. And we're going to see more of them over here. In that area over there is Firehole Lake Drive. Firehole Lake Drive is where you'll see Great Fountain Geyser. And in addition to Great Fountain Geyser is White Dome Geyser. Look at what I mean by the bobby socks trees. Just slow down a bit, Jen. See the white at the bottom? There's White Dome Geyser off in the background there. And if you have a look at the bottom of these trees, see the white? For those old-timers like me who remember bobby socks, that's why we call them, and Jen is pointing to herself, this is why we call them bobby socks trees. And those of you who've seen various of my other virtual Yellowstone tours will know that we're approaching the Midway Geyser Basin. Midway Geyser Basin is home to one of Yellowstone's most iconic sites, Grand Prismatic Spring, as well as Excelsior Geyser Crater. When you come here in the summers, try and get here early. That parking lot is going to be chock-a-block again when that steam that you see is coming off Excelsior Geyser Crater. When we run our tours, which you can see at YellowstoneTours.net, that's YellowstoneTours.net, we leave West Yellowstone at 5:45 to avoid the crowds. See the bacteria mats there coming into the Firehole River? Excelsior Geyser Crater is dropping about 4,000 gallons of water a minute into the Firehole River, and this is why it's clearly a thermal river. We're approaching the Fairy Falls parking lot, and many of you know by now that this is where you'd park to take the trail to Fairy Falls and also to the Grand Prismatic Spring overlook. And it is so unusual to see it empty. This is another one of those areas where the parking lot is jam-packed. That's the extension to the parking lot that the Park Service put in a couple of years ago. Up ahead of us is the parking lot to Biscuit Basin. This is another really cool geyser basin in Yellowstone. It's one of the two smaller ones, this one and Black Sand Basin. And then over there, that's the trailhead to Artemisia Geyser. It's called the Artemisia Trail. Here's the Firehole River that we are crossing over. And the Artemisia Trail will bring us right out at Morning Glory Pools. And over here, this will take you to Mystic Falls. That's the Daisy Geyser trailhead. That'll take you to the Daisy group of geysers and the main part of the upper geyser basin, the third of the three main geyser basins. The Mystic Falls trail can be accessed either through Biscuit Basin or from where I showed you that little trail is. We run guided tours into Yellowstone as well. You can see them at YellowstoneDayHikes.com. That's YellowstoneDayHikes.com. And what we generally do is we'll go in through the more rustic trail and then come out through Biscuit Basin, so you can see a few geysers and a few hot springs on the way back. We're approaching Black Sand Basin, which is coming up on our right, and over there leads up to the main part of the Upper Geyser Basin. I really love Black Sand Basin. Some of the thermal features are just so pretty. You've got Cliff Geyser, which is almost always erupting. Sunset Lake is just off over there, and then Emerald Pool is well worth seeing as well. Last year they had this closed, and you had to take a side trail. It's good to see that they were able to work through the winter and get this bridge repaired. And this now is the approach to Old Faithful itself, and as I've said a few times, the main part of the Upper Geyser Basin. We'll see a sign ahead of us that says Old Faithful Inn. Turn left, and we're going to turn left, even though there's another sign which you can see over there which says Geyser Parking, Visitor Center and whatnot. I always turn left over here. Number one, you get to see Old Faithful Inn. Old Faithful Inn is one of the great buildings in the entire national park system. For my money, it's the most fantastic building in the entire national park system. You can see it over there with snow on the roof still. In addition, there is also a parking lot for Old Faithful over here, and it puts you much closer to Old Faithful than if you went and followed the road that way. You're also a lot closer to the boardwalk that runs between Old Faithful, which is in that area over there, and Morning Glory, which is somewhere behind Jen, more or less to the north. Old Faithful Inn in the background, the gas station, the general store, and then in a minute, coming up on our left in the back, we're going to see Castle, guys. That's Castle over there. Well worth seeing. I haven't had a look yet to see what time Old Faithful is predicted to erupt, but we're going to carry on into this parking lot ahead of us. We'll stop very briefly. I don't see any people waiting there. Normally when Old Faithful is close to erupting, you'll see people sitting in those benches waiting for it to erupt. So it doesn't seem like an eruption is going to happen anytime soon. Old Faithful was closed during 2020, which was the COVID year. It's anyone's guess whether it'll be open this year. We just dashed into the park for a few hours. Today is opening day, and you have to come into the park on opening day. You have to open the park and close the park. That's Old Faithful Inn over there. Old Faithful Geyser ahead of us. Unfortunately, the predicted eruption time is an hour away, so we're not going to stay and watch it. Pull forward a bit, Jen.